I'm Realtor Deb Tomorrow, and this is At Home in Bloomington, brought to you by Karen Russell, Ruoff Home Mortgage. We profile the people, places, and resources that make Bloomington, Bloomington, and help you live your best life. At Home in Bloomington. Hello, and welcome to At Home in Bloomington. I'm your host, Realtor Deb Tomorrow, joined by the lovely Miss Karen Russell, best damn lender in the state of Indiana. Hey, Deb. Hello. She is our sponsor, Ruoff Home Mortgage. So we are coming to you from the World Studios at Ruoff Home Mortgage. I need to come up with a better name for that.
Yeah, in Bloomington, Indiana.
World Studios, whatever. Because that's the only, right? It's probably the only recording studio. See, Ruoff they sponsor the Lucas Oil Stadium.
They have a partnership with them. Mm-hmm.
They sponsor cars in the Indy 500, winning cars in the Indy 500. They sponsor what you and I call Deer Creek.
Yes, and it was just announced this week that it was rated the number 4 world amphitheater,
really?
And it has now moved up to number 1.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it is a handful, Ruoff Home Mortgage Music Center.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I frequent that place a lot, and
right.
I do
not
secretly still call it Deer Creek.
I believe the last concert I saw there was David Bowie, and it was probably 1990. But it was a good show.
I'm going to take you out more.
Okay. That's a long drive and, past my bedtime. But anyways, I just want to add to that list. You've got Colts, you've got Indy 500, you've got world-class music, and you've got Deb Tomorrow's
podcast. Yes.
There you go. I am special. All right. So speaking of famous things, I don't think Ruoff sponsors a movie theater.
No, I don't think we do.
But did you ever go to the movies when you were in college here in Bloomington?
I went once to the Von Lee. If everyone remembers.
Do you remember what you saw?
Yes, I saw Adventures in Babies. Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead with Christina Applegate. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. I just remember she drove a Volvo. She was stuck in traffic because I was here visiting my sister. She was at IU. So this would have been 87, 88.
Yeah.
And we went to a college campus movie theater. I felt so grown up going in there with her.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But you never go when you were in school?
No.
Well, I didn't go much either because I was a very, very poor college student, but I remember going twice in my undergraduate years. I went once to the Von Lee, and I saw The Doors, and
that's more exciting
snuck in booze and sat in the front row, and that's about all I remember. And then I saw Dances with Wolves in 1990 down the street at the Indiana.
I was going to say, the only other place I'd seen a movie at that time was on campus. The union board would host or something like that, but I can't tell you what I saw. I don't remember.
So you never saw a movie at the Indiana Theater?
I never saw a movie.
Such a shame. Well, we're going to try and rectify that today because today we are joined by Rebecca Stanze of Buskirk-Chumley Theater.
Ooh, but I have been in there, so yes, I didn't get to see a movie.
How many? Do you think everybody in town has been in the Buskirk-Chumley Theater?
I would love to say that's true. Probably a good portion of the community, but not everybody. That's our goal.
One of the things I love about it is that you see it. I mean, I see it on Facebook daily. It's somebody's dance recital. And then there's, Lyle Lovett or big national names. And so it's, I performed there in 2011. I was the Judge's Choice winner for Dancing with the Celebrities fundraiser.
Nice. Congratulations.
So we raised money for Girls Inc. And I was fueled by, again, this is my theme, by a lot of tequila to get that, especially the cha-cha at the end.
Well, and that was before I met you. But funny thing is, my first time in there was going to a Dancing with the Celebrities to support a friend of mine who was dancing that year, who I think took home the trophy.
Okay.
So
that was, it was interesting to think, I've been on the same stage. Little old me, right? I'm not a performer at all. That was pure luck. But anyways, so I want to talk about the history of the Buskirk-Chumley, and then we'll talk about the events because I find the history, I'm kind of a history geek, but I find it really interesting. So it's owned by the city now, but can you kind of take us back to the beginning a little bit?
Sure. So in the beginning,
yes,
which was in 1922, the theater was built by the Vanderschmidt family. And they ran the theater until it burned down in 1933, another great landmark in the timeline of the building. They rebuilt it really, really quickly, came back online within, I think, a couple of months. And that is the sort of state of the theater that it was restored to later on that you kind of can see now.
Oh, okay.
So it continued to be a movie theater for quite some time. The Kerasotis Corporation purchased the theater. They also, I believe, owned the Von Lee for a while before it closed down. And then it continued to be a movie theater. I did not ever see a movie at that time, but I understand it was split between two screens. There was a kind of a terrible experience that you could have up in the balcony where the screen was really close to the seats because it wasn't intended to be that way. And then there was a larger house on the main floor. And then the building sort of declined over time. Eventually, it was just not really operational as a movie theater anymore. Kerasotis donated it to the Bloomington Area Arts Council, which renovated it into a performing arts center. Then it eventually became owned by the city of Bloomington. I actually work for a nonprofit organization called BCT Management, and we run the theater as a performing arts center on behalf of the city.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Well, there were some fun facts about the history, too, that I wanted to share. I mentioned I went over yesterday when we're recording this in December, and you had a big run of Beauty and the Beast and a lot of school groups coming in.
600, I believe, middle schoolers were watching.
Oh, my goodness gracious. So I wanted to go in because there's the history of the building exhibit up on the second floor, which you can go in anytime the box office is open and check that out. But I went in and I came around the front and I saw the school buses and I said, oh, I picked a bad day. But I went up there anyways, and then I could hear the final applause and said, I got to get out of here. I'm going to get lost and end up on a school bus going back to Brown County or something. But there's some really interesting tidbits up there of the history. One of the things I saw was that, and Karen, this is amazing. In 1922, the number of people who showed up to opening night at the Indiana Theater was 10% of Bloomington's population.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that crazy?
I wonder what was showing.
I have that.
Oh, it was called The Storm.
Yes.
It seemed like it was very dramatic.
Okay.
There was a wildfire and a storm and maybe a flood. And it was silent film, obviously, at that time. And yes, they packed the house. Oh. And it was even more incredible because at that time, the seating in the theater was larger than it is.
Okay,
now. They could fit more people.
Gonna ask how many seats does it have currently?
So we can seat about 600 now. I think it was over 1,000 that they were able to put in.
Yeah, it was something like 1,100 or 1,200 maybe.
Yeah,
and
maybe
that
seats were smaller. People were smaller at that time. Maybe there were no fire coats. So they were able to get quite a few people in there.
So there's a movie poster for The Storm, which is the first movie that played at the theater. And I took a picture of it yesterday, and it says, what would you do if you were a young girl and a tremendous blizzard forced you to remain for 3 months shut up in a cabin in the North Woods, hundreds of miles away from civilization, alone with a rugged woodsman and a polished gentleman, both professing love for you, and there was no possible chance of escape nor communication with the outside, and you knew if you admitted love for one, it meant the other would kill him. Would you do what the French-Canadian girl did? The Storm.
This is the poster?
That's the movie
so
poster.
Scandalous. I love it.
Right.
Yeah. We need to watch it.
And it's silent.
Yeah. I'll be like, oh my goodness, yes. Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing that's upstairs on the second floor. That's why I want to encourage people to go take a look, because it's really pretty cool.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that you can go up there, because I would never go up there thinking, oh, I don't want to, I know I'm going to be down on the main level, and but no, I've never been upstairs. So
yeah. So definitely check that out. There's another story that I read online, and I also saw a big display upstairs, and I wanted to mention it because it actually goes along with, we had some gentlemen on a few episodes ago who wrote a book called The Unknown, Untold, and Unbelievable Stories of IU Sports. And one of the stories that was told in that book was about Herman Wells and George Taliaferro, and how Herman Wells basically invited George Taliaferro to the Gables for lunch, and that was sort of what caused it to be desegregated. And similar, George Taliaferro, who just recently passed away 2 days before we did that show, had that same impact on the Indiana theater, that it was a segregated theater, and I think the management called him and said, bring a date by. come down
wow.
Friday night and bring a date. Yeah, bring some, and he did, and then I think the next week he brought some friends, and they brought dates, and I just think that, you know, he's an amazing man. He was a great man from Bloomington. I think he did a lot. So, you know, it's just, to me, it's, you know, how all these people in town are sort of embedded here and there, and you never know it, but you know, it just speaks to how cool Bloomington is. So, I have a ton of pictures of the gallery upstairs. So. There was another one too. Oh, I have to share this because this is hysterical. There was a movie, or it was talking about the marketing and how some of the movies are marketed, and they have a signboard on the side of a mule or a donkey or something.
Yeah. That
they paraded around town, and it said, "This is the mule donkey." Is it a donkey?
I'm going to call it a donkey.
It's an ass, is what it is. I always, we curse all the time, but anyways, it's an ass. And it says, so this is really kind of risque for the time, right? I am the only one in Bloomington who is not going to see Three Little Words, that was the movie, at the Indiana Theater. But then you know what I am. I'm an ass.
Okay,
that's the ad. That's awesome.
Was that after the storm had previewed at the theater?
Yeah, that was a later film.
They were definitely cutting edge.
Mm-hmm. This was Fred Astaire and Red Skelton.
Nice.
So anyways, go upstairs and check it out, because there's some
edgy stuff up there.
Yeah, right? Really, you explain that to your children. Why is that a horse? I don't know. So the range of programming that now goes on at the Buskirk-Chumley, or I guess the Buskirk-Chumley was named after, I assume, some people who put up some money to...
Yes, yeah. During the renovation in the 90s, they a family put forth sort of a lead gift.
Gotcha.
And they received the naming rights.
Okay. And we all call it Buzz Chum, right? I mean, we're cool now, so we're just call it Buzz Chum.
I've never called it that.
You haven't?
No.
I will say that we actually prefer that folks not call it.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good.
I don't know if this is the same parallel, but sometimes people abbreviate Christmas and say Xmas, and I think that's a no.
Right? Because it changes the sound.
So and
in this case, we want the family name
to be
completely used completely.
Right.
I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world.
As long as people show up,
that
right?
People feel affectionate about the theater, that they can have their own little nickname.
Yes, for sure. So let's talk about the range of programs that you have there.
Yes, that is my favorite thing about working at the theater, is just the amazing variety of programming that goes on. On any given week, there might be a classic film, there might be a documentary, there might be a piano recital, Dancing with the Celebrities, might be a local nonprofit putting on a fundraiser, might be a national touring artist presenting a concert, just crazy variety of things. And I occasionally have somebody who's will have been given a gift certificate and it's close to expiring, and they'll say, well, I just never found anything that I wanted to see there. And I'm thinking, how is that possible?
Right.
There's just an amazing variety of items on the calendar. There's always something going on. I would think that everybody could find something that they wanted to see at the theater.
So if you have a gift certificate, it's for pretty much anything that goes on at the...
Yes, almost anything. If you get a BCT gift certificate, it's good for anything that is sold in the box office, which includes events that are happening elsewhere in the community, because we have a ticketing service for venues across the community.
Such as the Taste of Bloomington.
Taste of Bloomington, yes.
That's where I always get my tickets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just easier to go online and order them, and then hopefully prior to the actual event, go in, stop downtown for lunch and then pop in there to get it.
Yeah, that's something that not everybody knows, that you can, if you're having an event at your church or your nonprofit is having a fundraising, we can ticket for any of those events.
Oh, that's good.
And it's a great thing because people are downtown and they just want to come in and get it taken care of.
Yeah.
And people will come in and bring their list of their 6 events that they want to get tickets for, and they can do it in one stop.
Cool. And the website?
People want to go to bctboxoffice.org to see all of the events that we're ticketing for, including things that are happening at the theater.
Okay. So what do you think is in your opinion, which you're entitled to? Scary, right? No. What's the biggest act that has ever performed at the Buskirk-Chumley?
John Mellencamp did a concert there early in the theater's life. I think that was pretty popular, big name show. But, we have national touring artists come all the time. And so big name, the big show, it depends on who you really love and who you really care about.
Right.
So Lyle Levitt is a great example. Yeah. Just all kinds of people.
I know Rachel, when Kris Kristofferson was there recently, so I have to brag on Rachel. So Rachel's grandfather co-wrote Me and Bobby McGee with Kris Kristofferson. Nice. He was is a producer and just inducted into the Hall of Fame down there. Country Music Hall of Fame. So I believe Rachel got a shout out during the concert from Kris Kristofferson because their families are tight. So this is my brush with fame. So, but that was a pretty big. There was a lot of people in town talking about that show, and it was a big deal. So.
And it's because there are only 600 seats in the building. There's no bad seat in the house. It's just so fun that you can have somebody who knows somebody who's sitting in the audience. You can reach out and touch the artist practically. It's just a really great place to see. And
then the next night, your 6-year-old's on stage forgetting what she's supposed to be doing in her dance recital. So, and then the next night, your realtor's on stage making a fool of herself. So it all comes full circle. And I think that's just what's so cool and what makes it such an interesting community. So you've partnered with Cardinal Stage. They do a lot of their performances.
Yes. Cardinal Stage Company does a variety of performances over the course of their season. Some of them happen at the BCT and some of them happen at the John Waldron Arts Center.
And it's interesting to me that we don't really have a community theater here in Bloomington that has its own space per se. I mean, there's some, I think, smaller venues like maybe Bloomington Playwrights, but so it's great that we have this facility that I imagine Cardinal Stage sits down early in the year and says, okay, these are the dates we need because
they plan in advance for sure.
Yeah.
And they do, I'm not sure exactly how many shows they do per run. There's more than 30 performances.
That's crazy.
Beauty and the Beast happening right now, and a lot of them are sold out or close to being sold out. So that's a lot of people coming into the building to see those performances.
Yeah. And I know those performances too, they've got multiple actors that do the same role because of the kids and whatnot. So that's just a lot to keep track of. So that's a pretty major operation they have going on. And I think it's nice that they don't have to worry about maintaining a theater building on top of all of that they can really focus on doing that.
Similar situation with the Bloomington Symphony Orchestra. They do their performances at the Buskirk-Chumley Theater or their home base. And so that allows them to, kind of go off and do their own musical thing while we're taking care of the venue.
How many nights a year is the...
Depends on the year, varies from year to year. We are usually doing more than 250 events in a year. And I think last year was a record-setting year. It was 287 events, including rehearsals and things that weren't open to the public.
Wow.
I was going to say, I can't remember what year it was, but my employer rented out the entire theater, and we had our holiday party in the theater. Yeah. It was back in the good old days of Monroe County Bank, or we could have been Monroe Bank at the time. And I remember it was one of the first dates that my husband and I went on. Like I had never been in there. And so, but I can't remember. There was a performance, and I don't know if it was like Straight No Chaser or somebody, but somebody was singing and yeah, I mean, it was really cool. We had the whole theater, but I never went up on the second floor.
There you go. Learn something new.
Quite a few private events like that. So some, you might screen your own movie or have a dinner or have some kind of
wedding reception.
Yeah, we do a lot of weddings. It's a great place for all kinds of private events as well.
Well, with that number of events going on, you probably have a need for volunteers. So when we come back from break, we're going to talk about that and let people know how they can get involved and maybe even get to see some shows for free. So stick around. You're at home in Bloomington.
Hi, this is Karen Rastel with Ruoff Home Mortgage. Did you know there are low or no down payment options available? If you're interested in buying a home but not sure about your options, contact me today at 812-606-7653. Together, we'll make your dreams of home ownership come true. Ruoff Home Mortgage is an Indiana corporation licensed by the Indiana Department of Financial Institutions. This is not an offer for extension of credit or a commitment to lend. All loans must satisfy company underwriting guidelines, equal housing lender, NMLS number 141868.
This is your Real Estate Realist. Practical advice on buying and selling real estate based on my experience closing over 800 home sales. Are you interested in being a realtor? I know HGTV makes it look like negotiating deals over martinis and sushi is the norm. That may not be completely or even close to reality, at least in Bloomington, but it is a cool career and a one bit shrouded in mystery. So here are some things you should know if you're considering the real estate path. Number one, there are different structures for brokerages, but in all cases, you're an independent contractor. You run your own business, you keep your own records, you pay your own taxes, you pay for your office space, you determine your own marketing budget, on and on. Number two, it's strictly commission-based. No sales, no paycheck. Number three, there are no sick days, vacation days, paid holidays, or benefits. That means no health insurance or 401k too. But number four, of course, it is the ultimate job security. I mean, I'll never fire myself since I technically work for myself. I think I'm a pretty good employee. There are certain freedoms that balance the stress of the job. Number five, like most small businesses, it is hard to take downtime. Weekends and evenings are when most people want to look at homes, and real estate can provide great flexibility with your schedule, but can also be murder on your weekends. And number six, you get to build your own business. Even as a part of a large brokerage, you aren't handed sellers and buyers. You may be given leads, but you have to convert those leads to buyers and sellers. You'll probably go 3 to 6 months without getting paid when you start out as you are building your business. For more information on being a realtor, hit me up. I'd be happy to chat with you. You can listen to my Real Real Estate podcast, number 79. You can find that on iTunes, my YouTube channel, and at www.athomeinbloomington.com.
My name is Brittany, and Deb tomorrow is my realtor. She helped me buy my first home. I enjoyed working with Deb because she was patient, thorough, and made the experience fun. Deb should be your realtor too. And now, back to the show.
Welcome back to At Home in Bloomington. Before we get back to our guest, Rebecca Stanze with Buskirk-Chumley Theater, we want to have our Facebook follow segment, which is Blue Boy Chocolate Cafe and Bakery, which is right next to the theater. And so I've been talking about how there's historical pictures and stories up on the second floor of the Buskirk-Chumley. And there's actually a little story about that sweet shop, because it used to be called the, I think, Indiana Sweet Shop. Mm-hmm. Is that right? And it's been around for quite some time with various, a couple different owners. I think it's maybe on owner number 3 at least. Mm-hmm. And it's now Blue Boy. And they've got, if you've ever been gifted their chocolates.
No, but I know people who have gone in there for the presentation or how they look.
They're
I've never
beautiful.
had them. Yeah, you wouldn't want to eat them.
It's hard,
like
yeah.
truffles, I think.
Yeah.
And just it's like this. They're just too pretty.
Yeah,
like, you don't have that
problem.
No, eat them up.
They are beautiful,
Yeah.
but I'm still willing to eat them.
Yeah, so those are a great gift. But then they have some other desserts and things as well, and coffees and I think hot chocolates and things. So that makes a great partner with an event at the Buskirk-Chumley. So check them out on Facebook, Blue Boy Chocolate Cafe and Bakery. They show what their specials are. Creme brulee. Oh, I love creme brulee. So visually as well as a tasty treat. All right. So I want to talk about, you had said that some years there are over 250 or more events and things going on at the Buskirk-Chumley. And certainly that's a pretty overwhelming operation. And so it takes a lot of volunteers to make that happen, right?
Definitely.
So the Usher Program is one program that is an easy way for people to get involved. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Sure. So anytime you come to the theater, you're hopefully greeted with a smile at the front door. Someone needs to tear your ticket, get you to your seat, help you find the restroom. And the folks who do that are all volunteers, and we really appreciate their time and energy, because we wouldn't be able to present the number of shows that we do without their support. So these are folks, some of them are IU students, some of them are retirees. They come from all walks of life, and they go through a brief training program so that they know how to evacuate the building in case of the fire alarm going off, or to deal with various emergencies that might come up when you have 600 people in the room. And they're essential to making the event happen and to creating a real community feel there in the lobby. We always get a lot of great feedback about how people enjoy seeing their friends who are volunteering at the theater and helping to make their night special. So we really need volunteers on an ongoing basis. We encourage people to sign up to go through the training, and then they can earn tickets to see shows for free. So when you're ushering, you're kind of on duty. So that's not the show that you want to sit and enjoy. You want to work a show that maybe you're less interested in, or you just kind of want to get a peek at, and then you want to earn tickets to see the show that you're really into.
Cool. So that's good to know. So you may hear what's going on in the background, but it's not like you can turn and watch it because then you're not doing it.
Because there's always people who are trying to sneak photos or getting into trouble that you got to kind of keep your eye out for.
So even the ticket takers, after everybody's sort of seated, they still have some job duties to do.
They might. Most people get to see at least part of the show, but it's not something we like to promise.
Gotcha.
That's why we have the earn a free ticket option.
Right. Okay. And how do you earn a free ticket? You do a certain number of events?
Yeah, a certain number of events get you a free ticket.
Awesome. And so how long is a usual shift?
Well, it really depends on what kind of show. A movie is kind of a shorter shift because it tends to be pretty contained, 2 hours plus cleaning up a little bit afterwards, plus getting ready before. Some concerts really go on for a long time. We have the occasional hip hop show that goes on longer than I care to think about. We need to have ushers there for the whole 6-7 hours. So it just really depends on the event. But ushers get to choose what events they sign up for, so they know that information in advance.
Do you know about how many ushers you have right now?
I think we have over 150 active volunteers, which is really great. And we can always use more. Especially during busy times like this Beauty and the Beast run for Cardinal Stage Company, 30 plus events that need at least 10 ushers for each show. Yeah. So it adds up quite a bit.
And some of them are daytime shows, which can be tricky during the week for sure. I think Rachel, to mention her again, is an usher. So she helps out on some shows. So she told me a little bit about that.
Ushers.
Yeah. And so what's the training like? It's just a couple hours?
Yes, yeah, it's a training session, 2 or 3 hours before you get started. And then we do occasional refreshers. We ask people to come in and kind of be reminded how to deal with emergencies.
Is there a minimum commitment that people should make?
There really isn't.
Okay.
No. You can volunteer once a month or you can come every night, whatever you're interested in doing.
And what about age?
We do have, we're looking for 18 and older because their primary responsibility is safety and making sure that the building can get evacuated. But we do have a youth ushering program. If a younger person wants to write a little note to our volunteer coordinator about why they want to volunteer, we'll consider their application.
So responsible older teens could be considered. So that could be a fun program as well. I remember growing up, I grew up in Indianapolis, and we've ushered at CTS, Christian Theological Seminary. They did shows there, and my parents ushered with groups, and my brother and I think just by all right, you're coming with us. And so I learned to usher at a young age doing that. And, it was
fun to be part of something that people are so excited about. Coming to see their favorite artist or this great movie that they're excited about. It's fun to be part of that process.
Awesome. And then you've got another volunteer opportunity that's poster volunteers. So tell me a little bit about that.
So we poster for a small percentage of the shows that happen at the theater, and we poster in all corners of the community, and so we need volunteer help to do that. So that's great for somebody who once a flexible schedule, doesn't want to sign up for a particular shift at a particular time, but is willing to come drive around a little bit or walk around in the case of downtown and make sure that word gets out about those shows.
And so you put a certain number of posters up or a certain number of...
Yeah, so we have the community divided into routes, and so we get one volunteer to take one route and the appropriate number of posters out. And we provide them with a little sack of supplies, push pins, and things like that. So it's a really great system.
And after putting up a certain number of posters, you get free tickets as well.
Yes.
So no excuse, even if you're a poor college student on a budget. Yes. There are lots and lots of ways to get in to see these shows. So that's really, really awesome. So let's talk about some of the other programs you've got going on, because I think there are some things that I didn't really realize was going on. The Movie Partner Program. Tell me about that.
So we've touched on it a little bit, but just to clarify, I want to make sure that folks know that the theater itself only determines maybe 10% of what happens at the theater over the course of the year. We bring in national touring musicians, occasional comedians. We show some classic films, but those are the only decisions that we make. The rest of the programming is driven by the community, so people who want to put on a show or who are interested in bringing a speaker or a film. So it's mostly community driven. And it's a rental facility, so anybody who wants to rent the building can do so to put on some sort of event. The Movie Partner Program helps people bring film-based programming to the theater in an affordable way. We started as a movie theater. We're a movie theater for the bulk of our lives. We love film, and so we want people in the community to be able to engage in that kind of programming. So there are still some fees involved, very small fees involved, but if you're bringing a film program on a Sunday, then we are able to waive the usual rental fee. which makes it very affordable. So you could show your favorite film, and because you want people to come out and watch that with you, or you could bring a documentary about an issue that you care about. If you made a film, that's a great option if you want to premiere it. So a lot of different kind of film activities that take advantage of that program. How
does just a regular normal person like me, say, okay, I want to, put Gone with the Wind up on the screen, which I think you guys have probably had. Do you help, or do you have resources to help procure that film?
Yeah, we can help with the film rights and manage that. We have accounts with the various vendors, and we can facilitate that on people's behalf.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. And you can sometimes do those as fundraisers and things like that as well.
It's common for people to do that as a fundraiser, have show film, and then the ticket proceeds benefiting some cause, possibly the cause. Sometimes it's about the documentary is about the particular cause that they're interested in. Lots of different ways to think about it.
Interesting. It seems like there's a really good opportunity for nonprofits to,
Yeah, I always thought the theater was, like you said, I didn't realize that it was the community requesting that they wanted to, put on their own shows. I thought it was something that whoever owned it or however it was managed was handling all that, coordinating on that, lining up all the acts and all the shows and everything. I had no idea that you said 10%.
About 10% is just decided by us.
Yeah.
And so then you have the Cardinal Stage Company. We didn't tell them, you need to put on this show, or you please come and do this show. They decided they wanted to do it. They rented the theater and they're putting it on. Dancing with the Celebrities, Arthur Murray, they want to put on this fundraising event, and so they rent the theater. The child's ballet recital, that's just something that they want to put on the stage. We have quite a few IU departments that do their end of semester performances, ballet, and the African American Arts Institute. They've decided they want to bring that out into the community, and so they rented the theater to do it.
How far in advance does the theater need to be reserved? Because it sounds like
it's busy.
It's tough to get a good date.
Times of year. If you want, especially the really popular months, which are April and September, October, a lot of those are booked more than a year in advance. It just really depends on if the date that you want is available. We have on our website a nifty little calendar that shows in real time which dates are still available for rental.
And the movie thing is Sundays only.
Sundays
right?
only.
I kind of want to do that. I kind of want to just put a movie on
the big screen. Well, every now and then when they'll re-release. Re-release the movie, one of my favorite movies. And I'm like, I hope Bloomington's one that, gets that. And we haven't been yet. But, the 30th anniversary of a particular show. But that would be really cool to, rent out the whole. But I wasn't even thinking that you would have to get, obviously that makes sense now, to get the rights to be able to show it in a public setting like that.
Which is actually why fundraising movie screenings are a little bit challenging, because the films are expensive to get the rights to. And so you really have to sell a lot of tickets or have a higher ticket price in order to make a profit after paying those.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would come see the movies that I would want to watch on the big screen.
Well, what would those be?
I would definitely want to see a John Hughes film on the big screen.
I bet a 16 Candles or something would go over big.
Those would be great.
People in our
Dirty
age.
Dancing we screened just recently, and that brought out a good. We have a pretty broad definition of classic films.
Yeah. Okay.
So, we've done some Monty Python, Dirty Dancing.
I watch Dirty Dancing every time it's on television. I'm like, stop whatever it's doing. Let's just watch this.
We also did dance lesson before the film, so everybody got
wow.
I think I saw that. Yeah, I think I saw that. And have you done some? I've seen Grease sing-alongs. Sound of Music sing-alongs.
We haven't done a sing-along. I know that IU Cinema did some kind of sing-along. We haven't done that yet.
Maybe I'll have to spearhead a sing-along. And another program that you have going on is an arts startup seminar, which I thought was really interesting because that's just really helping other organizations. So tell us about that.
Sure. So along with this idea that the programming is driven by the community, we want to make sure that the folks who are putting on the programming have the support that they need, and that new events are being sort of institutionalized over time. And so we have always provided that support in an informal way. You want to put on your John Hughes film. Let's talk about the movie rights. Let's talk about the budget. How much would you actually have to bring in order to make a profit? That sort of coaching, how to market it, that sort of thing. always been done in an informal way. This is a way to formalize that. So our executive director teaches a series of classes over the course of the year about promoting events and planning for the technical needs and things like that. And then there is a seminar that's an all day long event where we're sort of workshopping events that ideas that people have. Oh, I've always wanted to put on a accordion, symposium, and with a concert at the end, and thinking through what that would actually involve. How would you get people here? How would you promote it? What would it cost? And then we have funds available for folks who have completed that program and have submitted a proposal. If we choose the proposal, it can be sort of underwritten a little bit by the theater to make it more affordable to get off the going. Yeah.
So I saw something. I'm involved with a couple of ladies working on a senior dog rescue kind of thing, a senior matching senior dogs with senior people and providing support. And so obviously we're looking at fundraisers and things like that. And I saw something on Facebook recently that was like a go to the movies and take your dog with you. And I think I don't know if you're watching Lassie or whatever.
The Writer Film Series did an all day extravaganza of movies about dogs, and we did allow dogs to come.
Did you?
I did not hear about that. I just
think, and I and so you see something like, oh, that's kind of fun, and I think, oh, my dogs know.
I was gonna say, would you take all three of your dogs?
No,
we did have some cautionary language in the event description to say, like, use your best judgment,
right?
If this is appropriate,
and yeah, because I'm sure mine would just go insane, wild.
But we got through that event with no mishaps or damage to the carpeting.
No,
so it was a success.
My dogs weren't there, obviously, so we'll have to look into something like that. And then you also have a little gift shop down there, so that's the box office. What are the hours of the box office?
Sure, the box office is open 7 days a week. During the week, it's 11 to 6, and on the weekends, it's noon to 5. As I said, we ticket for events at the theater. We ticket for events elsewhere in the community. We're also at the Downtown Visitors Center, so people can stop in and get information about downtown activities. And then we do sell locally made or locally produced items in our little gift shop.
Yeah, so definitely something to check out when you're having lunch downtown or something and see what's going on in there.
I've missed where the gift shop was.
It's just right. So Blue Boy's on one side of like the main entrance, and then the box office gift shop is on the other side.
Yeah, it's a very tiny little space, but it's all combined into the box office area.
I'll have to peek in there when I'm like running around upstairs too. Okay.
Yeah. See? I know I was going to invite you to come with me to run around upstairs, but then you would be tipped off as to what the show was about.
Well, the last event we were at, Jack did run upstairs. He wanted to see what the view was from the balcony. And I said, okay. So he runs up there before the show starts, and he came back and said, there's some seats up there. And I thought we had fairly decent seats where we were sitting. And I said, well, do you want to sit up there? And he goes, no, I'll just stay down here. So we never went up there.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, I think it's just, the 80s did a lot of damage to the architecture of a lot of small towns. I say this. I've been involved with Bloomington restorations for a long time, and they got their start because in the 80s there was a movement to tear down the courthouse and put in a parking lot. And if you can imagine what downtown would be like with a parking lot where the courthouse is. But the same thing goes for some of these theaters. I mean, honestly, between you and me, it breaks my heart a little bit that the Von Leer's offices now. And so I love the fact that the Indiana Theater is now Buskirk-Chumley, and that's been maintained, and we still have that. If 10% of the Bloomington population went the night it opened, just to think about, I'm sure more than 10% of the Bloomington population has been in there now. Almost 100 years later. So you're planning, right, for a big 100-year celebration in a couple years.
And one of our goals is to make sure that a larger percentage of the population is coming in, to make sure that we have something on the stage that appeals to literally everybody, so that there's just no reason for everybody in the community to come in.
So do you think probably social media would be one of the easiest ways to keep track of what's going on, just having it pop up on your news feed?
Yes, that is. If you're interested in something a little bit more organized, we send out emails twice a month, because the world does not need any more email than that. And that gives you a complete list of everything that's happening in the coming weeks. And I really encourage people to sign up for that, because it's the most comprehensive way to tell what's going on.
And they can subscribe to that on the
via our website.
Okay, the BCT.
Yes.
Okay. So check that out too, and get involved. Volunteer, Usher, and you can make a difference and get free stuff. That's a pretty good deal.
And speaking of free stuff, I do want to make a plug for the free events that we have at the theater. It's amazing to me over the course of the year how many events are free. So
Really?
that, if you feel like price is a barrier, it's great to just keep an eye out to see what free performances are available. Some film screenings, ballet performances, all kinds of things.
Yeah. Did not know that.
I did not know that either. Right? I do get the newsletter, and you're right. It is just, I never paid attention. I'm like, I'm not inundated like some of my other subscriptions that
Yes, we try to rein it in. I tend to get very excited about everything that's happening at the theater.
Yeah.
But I feel like 2 emails a month is enough.
Yeah. Well, make sure you check that out. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope people will get downtown and check things out and check out the website too with some great information. So we will see you at the theater. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back with another At Home in Bloomington.
Got a show idea? I'd love to hear it. And be sure to contact me for all your real estate needs and questions too. You can email me at deb@realrealestatetoday.com and follow me on Facebook at Deb Tomorrow Realtor. To contact Karen Rastel for all your mortgage needs, call 812-606-7653 or log on to ruoff.com and go to the Bloomington Center. Thanks to all the Bloomington people who make production of At Home in Bloomington possible. Special thanks to superstar producer Rachel D. Gregorio, digital guru Cynthia Hogan at Monster Digital Marketing for website design and hosting, and video genius Wes Lasher in the production house for engineering the show.